Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today, Friday audio edition here. I am joined by the man that needs no introduction, Maestro. Good morning, Maestro, ahead of what should be an entertaining week in the prep world.
Good morning, my dude, Marsh, man. I'm telling you something right now. I mean, I know there's a lot of wonderful stuff going on in SimWorld U right now, but it's just really exciting to see this transition happen in SimWorld Prep now. And I'm a little sad. I'm be honest about it. A little sad seeing some of the people go, but it's still fun.
Well, speaking of not necessarily going, but obviously this Saturday, Stars of Tomorrow Showcase, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about unsigned recruits. We're going to talk a little bit of college hoops after a pretty interesting and influential day last night. But
Hmm.
let's start with the Stars of Tomorrow. That is Saturday. The Legacy versus the Legend group. I could list you every single name that's going to be in there. That'd probably be a little bit too much. Also, the dunk contest and the 3-point contest. I'm curious though for you, Maestro, who is the most interesting recruit that's going to be, or really, let's go with this: what to watch tomorrow in the Stars of Tomorrow showcase.
Well, just to say it, Marsh, the primary person I'm really looking for individually is Kai Killens. He hasn't had the sort of season that I'm sure he's wanted to have, um, in terms of certainly not as a team. And I'm sure as a player, a lot of things are eating at him. Um, but he doesn't wear that color of his anger like outside, right? So I'm really to see what he's going to do now with another set of players. Maybe in another system, depending on how they work it. It's probably going to be just base principles all the way across the table. But I'm really curious to see what he's going to do, how he's going to be able to elevate himself. And quite frankly, I'm looking to see a lot of the reserves really interest me, Marsh. Seeing, some of the cats coming off the bench that have had great highlight moments during the season. See what they can do now. A cat like Almighty Soul or a cat like Breck Baker. So I'm really, I think it's just going to be exciting to see what's going to happen.
I think obviously these are one of the more entertaining and interesting times to see these big name recruits from Monte Parson, who's the number one overall recruit in the country. He's the guy that if you talk to SWBA, if you talk to SimWorld U scouts, everybody is salivating over a 6'8" guard or excuse me, 6'8" forward that can really do a lot of the things that we hope to get from great players, except shoot a three. And I just wanted, this isn't actually on the list. Do you think that's something that he ends up adding to his game, or do you feel as if it's something that is probably just going to be more of an ancillary part of his game? Because I mean, you look over his teammate Abdul Salamanca. He shoots 33% from deep. I mean, he's not
Hmm.
afraid to take that shot. Similar build, similar skill set as Monte Parson. Monte Parson, of course, no 3-pointers.
Well, you and I've had this conversation. It's so funny, right? And I always laugh about. I go back and listen to that particular SimWorld today about us talking about the three and how it's not become a part of the game. And I've even over maestroed some ideas and rules for the 3-point game to make some balance. But that's for another day. I can definitely see him adding the 3-point game. It seems as though every player has a 3-point game. He's definitely athletic enough. He's definitely solid enough a player that if you were to expand his area of destruction in terms of where he can score from, if he can start scoring from all four levels, including the 3-point level, the way he scores in transition, the way he scores in half court, the way he makes his own bucket. If he can start scoring from there, he has a solid mid range shot. He would be beyond dangerous, right? So it might not be like a major part of his game, but if that's in the back of a defender's mind and they get a little too close to him, but beyond the arc, no pun intended, next thing you know, he's blowing by him and he's on his way to the bucket without any resistance.
Now, again, I'm kind of freeballing here. We're kind of going isolation from because as I'm looking through this list, and I'm not going to pretend to be the prep guru. That's why we get Maestro on here to talk about it. You get to inform me of things. So one of the reserves that stands out, Abdul Salamanca, is Monte
Hmm.
Parsons' teammate at Illinois, or excuse me, at Illinois, at Philadelphia Elite, and correct me here. Abdul Salamanca, who's a 17-year-old, averages more points than Monte Parson, averages
Mm-hmm.
more assists, pretty much the same assists, the same steals, shoots
Mm-hmm.
54% and shoots
Mm-hmm.
20%, or excuse me, shoots 33% from deep on like legitimate volume compared to Monte Parson, who simply took three pointers all season long. Why is it that if I'm looking at, the future next level, Salamanca's sitting there ranked number 62 and Monte Parson is ranked number 1? I know that I'm just looking at stats here, but
Right,
if I'm
right, right.
also looking at skill set, why is Salamanca, at or better than Monte Parson? I'm not trying to pit the two against one another, but why is he sitting there at number 62 as a 4-star and Monte Parson's number 1 in the country?
Well, Salamanca definitely isn't. That ranking is definitely low. It's just what it is,
Okay.
especially especially where he's come on in the last month or so. Um, the if you were to A B them in the not necessarily in the statistical aggregate, but in the game impact aggregate, the last the last game, Salamanca had very solid performances. However, when you look across the table at go from the rebounds to the steals to the blocks to disrupt shots to the defensive play, Monte Parsons still has that old game that is strong across the table. Not that Abdul Salamanca does not. It's just there's a couple of the gears and other elements of the game that Monte Parsons seems to have the advantage of if you were to like match them up in in a cylindrical machine, so to speak.
Okay, got it. All right, let's get back on track, and we're talking the most interesting non-committed or uncommitted recruit right now. So if you look at it, look, a lot of the ESPN Top 100 is either verbal or committed to a future program. It really gets started around 12 with Trey DeRozan, the number 12 recruit. KJ Hills at number 15 is uncommitted at this point. Jack Lee at number 20, if let's just draw the line there. But who to you is the most interesting uncommitted recruit that we should be paying attention to where they end up going?
Well, I'll just say this in terms of uh, uncommitted recruit coming into SimWorld Prep.
Okay.
My eye is really on Kylan Johnson. Um, Not that big on the floor. He 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 looks to me, and this is going to be a major compliment. Hopefully, it's going to be a major compliment in terms of where he's going to start his game. He looks to me like players that can put in the sort of game that can complement any system and any team. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to do. And if I had to go with another one, Nakia Deckard the second, who is a Mr. Basketball himself, uh, just because of how strong he looks in the open runs and how impact he has a nose for the ball,
Okay.
and that's something that at that level, when I see that first, like if I'm watching open run, if I see a kid always around the ball, whether his player has the ball, whether he has the ball, it doesn't matter, but some kind of way the ball is moving and they're near it, they already got my attention.
Is it too soon to give an idea of what you expect them to be in terms of ranked recruits and where they end up in the hierarchy of prep basketball?
No, I don't think so. I think their games. I think once they settle into a system, I can see both of them easily being top 30 players.
Okay.
And I'm saying top 30 because there's just so much coming back, right? There's so many cats coming back who are proven and known quantity or yeah, proven and known commodity that it's going to be hard to crack that for cats coming straight in unless they just come in with the sound and fury. It also depends on the scheduling of the season, like how SimWorld handles how the season's going to be scheduled out. Remember the one of the things that the players talked about this past season was sometimes there was so much time in between games that players found their ranking dropping and they didn't even play.
Right.
But other people got the benefit of recency, right? They got the
Sure.
benefit of playing. So you know those are the things. Once they get ironed out, I think we get a better grip on terms of handling the rankings and that sort of thing. And I think that's going to come across the table. But there's so much Marsh. There's so much talent coming back next year. It's oh my goodness gracious. It's going to be. I think it's going to be the strongest prep year, which is good. Going into season 4, it's going to be the strongest, I think, prep class, SimWorld's ever seen.
All right. Well, speaking of strong, let's jump up to the college ranks where last night we had a pretty wild night, specifically in the Pac-12. UCLA loses, Cal loses. They lost to USC and Colorado, respectively. And oh, by the way, Utah and Arizona both win. So instead of UCLA and Cal putting themselves in a position to run away with the Pac-12, they have been brought back down to earth. Each of them 7-3 in the conference, and then Utah, Arizona, and Colorado each 6-4. One game separates them with about I think it might be 4 games left to play for each team. What's your takeaway? This is, I mean, every single conference underneath, I think, which has been an absolute win that we're moving to a one-game or conference championship game because every single one of these games matters. What is your feeling on where does this Pac-12 conference end up? Do you think Cal and UCLA still prevail, or do you think one of those 3 teams underneath it jumps up and kind of disrupts the flow of order?
I think there's going to be a disruption, Marsh. I think okay. So we see how well, I think we're starting to get a better idea now of in SimWorld U in terms of how teams are setting themselves up, right? And to become some teams are becoming who we thought they were, right? Some teams are performing on the level, okay, they have this, they have this, they have this, but they're yet and still they're coming into their skin. Other teams, I think more often than not this season, correct me if I'm wrong, Marsh, I don't think there's a week that has gone by that we didn't have a game from a team that was, I'm going to do the sarcastic quotes here, no one can see it, underdog, that we didn't have a game where the underdog team, supposedly with a remotely talented player, upset a team that everyone was thinking, yeah, they're going to get this, they're going to go to the top of their division, and quite frankly, the West Coast teams, that's exactly what's going on with that. So the reality for what was it, UCLA and I'm sorry,
Cal.
Cal, is that division is so tight with so much talent that they been just automatically assuming that they're going to be able to hang on. I definitely wouldn't put my coins on that. Not at all. No, it's just too much there to upset the apple cart.
UCLA's schedule remaining: home versus Colorado. That's a team that I mentioned is in the race. Home against Utah. It's a team that's in the race. On the road against Washington. That's a team that's not in the race. And then home against Arizona. There are 1-3 in their last 4. Their losses are to Oregon, Cal, and USC. 3 teams that are among the upper half. I mean, Oregon struggled, but among the upper half of the let's say the competitive portion, rather, of the Pac-12. They just haven't been playing good basketball. Now they've gone out and they've
No.
beaten Colorado, they've beaten Utah, they've beaten Arizona already. So they have these really great opportunities, but that's 3 really tough opponents for UCLA.
Yes.
I have to commend Colorado because Brian Vaughn has been playing out of his mind as of late. I think Colorado might find a way to get in there. Not only do they have the head-to-head opportunity against UCLA, now I still like UCLA as a team. I still have more trust in them than anyone else. I think they're just in a rough patch. But this is a Colorado team. They've won 5 in a row. They've won 6 of 7. Their one loss was a 4-point defeat to Utah back. That was February 18th. And Brian Vaughn is playing like a guy that could be a lottery pick. I mean, he's looked really, really good for Colorado. And if they don't have an atrocious month of December and January when they lost 5 in a row and 8 of 9, and they went 2-11 in a giant stretch of the season. Obviously, that's a 13-game sample size. That's a bad group. That's a bad stretch. But
Yeah.
they've looked really good. Brian Vaughn has looked really good, and they've got a pretty favorable opportunity in front of them because they get UCLA, they get USC, Stanford is a winnable game, and then they close out with Utah. And so I
Yeah.
think we're going to see. I don't think any of these teams up there are gonna win out, which means I think one of those 6-4 teams is going to get a real chance to jump up into this thing. And Colorado's just hot, and eventually that heat is going to turn off. I think they've got a real shot to get up there. Again, I still think UCLA is one of the best teams in the country. They just have not been playing well in the last month of this season, and because of that, they're going to have to be playing much more meaningful basketball for much longer than they certainly expected.
I
All right,
like
that is
Arizona.
our. What's that?
I like Arizona.
Arizona with Corey Yams. Hey, by the way, Khalil Erickson, a guy that
Yes.
who was just the personality was a concern for him. Khalil Erickson has had a fantastic season for Arizona this year. He's been consistently their best scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Not every single night because obviously a lot of that's occupied by Juan Valentine, but he's averaging 12 points per game. They've got 4 guys scoring double figures. The turnaround from Khalil Erickson to me, Maestro, is a fascinating one. It's a really impressive one
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, but that was
No,
definitely, but they're definitely the team that sort of like was the shining star in the middle of going like, I think people shouldn't sleep on them, but hey, let's see, all right?
yeah, no, I'm glad you brought him up. He's somebody that the more I watch Arizona, the more I'm like, hey, I don't think, and I'm a part of this problem because I'm in, I have a platform and I don't talk about Khalil Erickson, but I'm like, I don't think we're talking about and recognizing Khalil Erickson enough. So good call out on Arizona. All right, that is officially our show. We're going to be back on Monday, obviously, but Saturday rolls on. The big time matchup of the weekend is Legends and Legacy Stars of Tomorrow Showcase. That's Saturday, 1 p.m. Maestro will be in the building with Yells calling that one. It will be a fantastic matchup with the best recruits in all of prep basketball, or SimWorld prep basketball, ahead of what many of them are making the leap to college hoops after that. So that's 1 p.m. on SimWorld TV. All right, that is our show. We're back on Monday. We'll maybe do a little quick recap of that, but we got Maestro who's putting out pretty much any and everything as our prep expert. So you can find him on Dirty Shorts, Maestro. We've got
Yes, sir.
what
Talking dirty.
talking dirty. There just all too much dirty. I couldn't remember what the connector word was on either side of it. So Dirty Shorts, talking dirty with Maestro. You can catch him. How often are we running that again, Maestro? Fill us in.
Oh, let's see. Let's see here. Dirty shorts are coming out like dirty shorts do. They come out whenever they feel like it.
Sure.
Talking dirties every Thursday at 4 o'clock, and of course, I'm guessing with my fun size boo, Big Bob, with the Round the Table show coming out every Tuesday on 4 o'clock, where we just talk about everything that just makes the clock wind down.
I love it. That's where you can get Maestro. Maestro, appreciate you coming on. We'll chat with you again next week. That's our show here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.